coming down here in front and helping me out. So I am trying to get my microphone to stay where it's supposed to stay, because of course it doesn't cooperate. There we go. I'll eventually get it in the pocket. There we go. As we saw today with the kids' sermon, what a yoke is, and I think we think about a yoke, we read it in the Bible, but unless we have traveled places where people are still using animals to plow or to take care of soil, we don't see yokes very much. How many of you have actually seen animals yoked together to work? Have you actually seen them? Good. Okay. So, yay, as we think about that. I was in a Bible study, a text study with a bunch of pastors, and this was 2 weeks ago, and the conversation turned to, is a yoke a good thing or a bad thing? And I think that's a good question for us to think about today. Is being yoked a positive, neutral, or negative thing? One of the things I looked when I was thinking about this and kind of going down the rabbit hole on the interwebs, I came across the common usage that's the yoke of imperialism. You remember that phrase? The yoke of being controlled by the government. The yoke of slavery. I would suggest that this is a negative thing. Being yoked there is being forced to work. So, Jesus doesn't say it that way, does he? He suggests something different. So let's do a little dive into texts in the Bible that refer to the yoke. So Genesis 27:40. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. But when you break loose, you shall break his yoke from your neck. That's one that suggests slavery, being bound, right? Leviticus 26:13. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be their slaves no more. I have broken the bars of your yoke and made you walk erect. Isaiah 58. Is not this the fast that I choose, to loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the straps of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry for help, and he will say, here I am. For you removed the yoke from among you, the pointing of the finger, the speaking of evil. From the prophet Nahum. And now I will break off his yoke from you to snap the bonds that bind you. So clearly, Old Testament context, a yoke is not a positive thing. The Israelites were yoked as slaves in the land of Egypt. The prophet spoke of being yoked being controlled by Babylon. The yoke is not a good thing. Yet Jesus turns it around. He said something different entirely. Come to me, all you who are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So Jesus, yet again, as he's done so many times, flips this thing around. A yoke, instead of being a burden, a control, an enslavement, it becomes a freedom, a rest, a place of hope. To be yoked to Jesus is to be different than being yoked under a government that does not care for you. How do we understand this 5th of July, this 4th of July weekend, the 250th anniversary of the founding of this country? Well, we know historically that this country was founded on the idea of being free, unyoked from monarchy, unyoked from control by those who were abusive. That's the whole foundation of this country, correct? I mean, I'd even ask for an amen from some of you. Am I putting you all to sleep? Is it true? Is that what our country was founded upon? The idea of freedom, right? Freedom from the yoke of control, freedom in our 10 built in the Bill of Rights. We have the freedom to worship as we choose to worship, correct? We have freedom. That freedom today has become a freedom by a particular group of people to control other people. Our government has become a yoke that is not Jesus' yoke. So what do we do as Christian people who are yoked with Jesus, as we are disciples who are yoked with Jesus so that our burden is not heavy? What can we do for all those who are yoked today? So who are we talking about? We're talking about people who can't speak for themselves because their voice is considered not valuable. When I was ending my time at St. Martin's in Austin, I thought I was preaching like I normally did. Maybe I just felt like I had more freedom. But several men, white men, came to me after sermons and said, I've never thought about the power I have to make a difference. I don't protest because I don't break the law. And I said, is protesting a law breaking here? As far as I know, it's not. I said, oh, you're right, it's not. And I went on to say that the power you have is that you will be listened to because you speak English, because of the color of your skin, because of your education, because you are male. Use that power. Claim it. Claim it to help others. That is what it means to be yoked with Jesus and sharing that yoke with others. The people who need to hear, to be heard, will not be listened to. Their burden is heavy. We can be yoked with them, to speak for them, to act for them, to protest for them. Why don't we? It's right to do. And I know this community does. One of the reasons I'm thrilled to be here. This is not in any way a reprimand of any of you, okay? In the 3 months while I was waiting for you guys to decide to call me, and I was here and praying every day, I was invited to stand in front of ICE as a witness for those going in to their interviews that day. I was reminded and shocked because I've been through this before, because I did it on the border of Texas and I did it in LA. But their passports are taken away and kept by ICE. Now, any of us have passports? I know if my passport was taken away, I would be absolutely terrified. And yet, how do you go into an interview that you have to have and say, I'm not giving you my passport? Is it legal? Is it illegal? I don't know. I would like to know that. But how do I say to someone, hold on to your passport no matter what, when you're in a precarious position? When I was first in LA and the election happened there, President Trump's first election, I was in South Central LA in Compton, and my church was mostly indocumentados. The terror in the faces of my church that Sunday after the election, I will not forget that. Beautiful, wonderful people who'd been working for a long time in this country, spoke English, and spoke Spanish. Terrified because they knew they would be stopped. I have the one little story there for me. A couple of young adults helped me move out of my apartment to get ready to come to Texas. And they had their pickup, and I was in the middle, the young man driving, young woman, Latino. I was in the middle, and I thought they were kidding when they said, are we going to be pulled over for kidnapping this white lady? I thought they were kidding, and it took me a while to realize the young man who was driving was terrified. Terrified of being pulled over with the assumption that I was being kidnapped by them. And, I did finally say, look, I will take care of it. They will believe me. I'm white. They will believe me. So it's okay, and thank you very much. But that is the reality that our country is living in. And I love my country. I'm proud of my country. I'm proud to be an American. For all the countries I have lived in and traveled through and tried to explain, yes, we are nuts. We Americans are crazy. And we are good people. So today, as we think about Jesus' yoke that lifts our burden so that we can feel rest, Jesus also invites us to think about what it is to use the power that we have to take the weight off of others so they can also find Jesus' rest. Jesus said this in a place and a time that led to his death. This is not easy. And it is what we are asked to do. Even as we love our country, we are asked to care for others with our power, with who we are.